Mr. Maurice Greenberg, Honorary Vice Chair of the Council on Foreign Relations, Dr. Richard Haas, President of the Council on Foreign Relations, Mr. Mesu, Vice President of the Asia Society. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, thank you, Mr. Greenberg, for your generous introduction. I would like to thank the Council on Foreign Relations and the Asia Society for hosting me today. I feel both honor and privilege to be with you, speaking to so many distinguished international leaders, statesmen, and scholars. Your commitment toward helping Americans and citizens throughout the world better understand today's foreign policy challenges is a noble and critical mission. This afternoon, I would like to speak to you about the future of democracy in Thailand, in Asia. Specifically, I would like to elaborate briefly on what I believe are the key attributes of democracies, the indispensable role that democracy plays in shaping the future of my region, and how the United States can help further democracy in Asia in the 21st centuries. The experience of democracy is conditioned by the history, culture, and experiences of each nation. And yet, the unique experience of democracy in each country does not compromise its universal appeal. All people desire the freedom to choose their own government. Fundamentally, democracy is a government of, by, and for the people. Sorry, having to remind you of what all Americans already know in your sleep. It is about the confidence of a nation in the will of its people, which is surely the highest tribute one can pay. Let me suggest that democracy typically has several defining characteristics: respecting the outcome of free and fair elections, freedom of expression and association, rule of law, equality of opportunity, and above all, a firm economic foundation. These principles of democracy are by no means exhaustive, but do seem to me helpful in the role that democracy can play in Asia and throughout the world. Ladies and gentlemen, as I said, democracy in each region and country has its own quality, conditioned by its specific circumstances. Nevertheless, parliaments worldwide, whether bicameral or monocameral, still need to comply with the basic principles of democracy. In Asia also, whatever its character or nature, the functioning of democracy must undergo the same process and be transparent about it. It involves people electing their representatives in accordance with the constitution in their own way. In Thailand, we have representation by province with a demand number of voters exercising their votes in the various constituencies. The essence of Thai democracy is ensuring representation of the people as defined by constitution, as defined by law. Much has been said about civil society and its contribution to democracy. I only hope that civil society doesn't mean societies that exercise voting rights under the Constitution in a manner that is not civil. More seriously, a functioning civil society means having civilized men and women with ideas who dialogue with constitutional representatives of the people. In this process, civil society and non-governmental organizations have indeed a valuable role. However, this does not mean that they should incur special privilege. What it does mean is that their ideas could and should be articulated with clarity through constitutional representatives of the people. As all of us appreciate, democracy, in fact, is not a new idea. It is much like globalization. Globalization is an age-old, ancestral ancestral phenomenon that has been present since the first goats crossed the Euphrates and the first Chinese crossed the Yangtze. It is the same with democracy, which involves representation and dialogue. What is new is the changing context of society. Dialogue within society can be organized or unorganized, but organized dialogue presupposes civilized dialogue and way of talking to each other. However, in some Asian democratic societies, you have seen the phenomenon of acceptance of definition of the role of non-governmental organization and civil society faster than acceptance of the idea of democracy itself. A free and fair democratic election process must not be compromised by those who do not like its outcomes. When the people have spoken through election which are judged truly democratic, the people's will must carry the day and must not be compromised by demonstrations in the street. If this were to happen, what can we expect to happen to Asia's democratic future? The fact remains that no mature democracy can survive without the following elements. First, wealth creation and economic development for the people. Second, when structural faults happen in the country and the democratic system of thought prevails, in a way, this means complete victory of the democratic system in society, especially if the democratic system prevails on the basis of peaceful transition. The process of maturity in democracy is an analog process. It means that all elements of society must accept the principle and be prepared to live with it. Also, no maturity can occur without pain. It is like a child learning how to walk. I, for one, haven't seen a child learning to walk without bumping his bottom constantly. As adults, we must learn to live with the pain and the pangs of democracy, lest we throw out the baby with the bad water. Ladies and gentlemen, we believe that democracy is an essential structure for progress of the people. All must acknowledge this reality. Not only those the people expect and hope for a better life under the democratic system in economic terms, but they also expect that no dark forces will try to take away their basic rights. The basic problem today for societies in Asia, as elsewhere, is that anti-democratic forces are regrouping. They are learning to use new techniques using the perceived weaknesses, indeed the generosity of democracy, namely rights and recognition. They are hitting back at our system. Under a democratic regime, one cannot give hope without delivering on the dreams. Then anti-democratic forces would use that to get at you. Let me elaborate further on this point, the importance of an economic foundation to sustain democratic development. Again, Asia must be especially sensitive to this danger. Throughout my time in public office, I have given priority to exploring the relationship between economics and freedom. One of the guiding aims of my government has been to create and manage opportunities for the people on equal terms, including those whose priorities were not always heard in the past. For our common challenges in a democracy is to make available to all people the means to realize their human potential. As someone who comes from the provinces, I am acutely conscious that democracy must serve the needs of the rural poor as surely as it does the urban elite, and for all to benefit from growth. As such, the bottom line for all government programs is to reduce expenditures for the people, generate income and extend opportunities. Although there is much more to be done, we have delivered on that promise. We have significantly reduced unemployment to 1.5%. The 30 baht nationwide health care scheme has provided for more accessible health care. When this government came into office, 12.5 million people were living below the poverty line. By the end of 2005, even though the line has been moved up, we still managed to reduce the number of poor people to 7 million. The improved standard of living throughout the country demonstrates the scale of this achievement. In Thailand, the transfer of capital from the central government to the provinces, and indeed down to the village level, is the achievement of which I am most proud. Through the village fund and microcredit schemes, money is transferred directly to each of the 80,000 villages of Thailand to finance local projects. This has ensured access to capital for the rural poor, who take pride in local ownership and responsibility for managing such funds. Meanwhile, our asset capitalization initiative has further invigorated the grassroots economy. And of course, this progress in stimulating the domestic economy has drawn on the extraordinary wisdom of our beloved King, who is a daily inspiration to all Thais. Empowering the regions has moved Thai democracy to a new level. Putting more decision in the hands of ordinary people is certainly a fundamental component of democracy in Thailand and elsewhere in Asia. While many will argue about whether economic reforms drive political reforms or vice versa, I believe that both are essential. Certainly, both have gained impetus as an outcome of government policy. In addition, my government has been promoting greater access to information and knowledge for the masses, conscious that they are the keys to innovation and sustained economic growth, as well as being indispensable to an open society and democracy. Creative thinking is essential for value creation and the future dynamism of our economy. A dynamic economy is also an attraction for foreign investment, which in turn can also stimulate economic growth, prosperity, and again fortify budding democracies. Nevertheless, as society progresses, the democratically elected system must also negotiate with the past. The past must be allowed to negotiate with the present, on the condition that neither the democratic elements nor the past can contravene the principle of democracy and the Constitution. If one does not allow the past regime and past actors to negotiate with the democratic system, you will beget violent settlement. Indeed, for any democratically minded leaders, the priority must be to avoid violent settlement. Because if you allow violent settlement, accusation will be pointed at the system for dictatorial violence and action. Democratic regimes must be patient and not fall into this trap. This tactic of the opposing forces of democratic society appears in Thai politics, I regret to say. But if seen as a normal tactic of those who oppose the democratic way of life in society, we must accept it as part of our path to maturity. Ladies and gentlemen, democratic principles and governance are part of the politics of contemporary Asia, Japan, South Korea, and India. All world-class democracies for decades serve as pluralist models and inspiration to other nations throughout Asia and the world. Asia is one of the world's fastest growing and most important regions, the custodian of half the world's foreign reserves and home to many of the largest and fastest growing Fortune 500 companies. But poverty and economic disparity limit Asia from reaching its potential, including its democratic potential. The economic gap between rich and poor leads to a corresponding democracy gap, threatening the long-term political progress of Asia in general. Another necessary step in addressing the challenge of democracy in Asia is regional economic integration. Thailand and other Asian countries have entered into regional association to strengthen our political, economic, and cultural foundations and to work together for a more prosperous future. The ASEAN countries are working through Asia-Pacific Economic Cooperation, or APEC, to encourage trade and investment liberalization, business facilitation, and economic and technical cooperation. Meanwhile, a Pan-Asia partnership is fast developing through the Asia Cooperation Dialogue, or the ACD. With the ACD's current 30 members reflecting Asia's diversity, we are seeking to build Asia's strength from Asia's diversity and meet head-on the challenges of democracy, poverty, and underdevelopment. Ladies and gentlemen, the United States has today a vital interest in supporting democracy in Asia. America is a Pacific nation, a global superpower, and a trend-setting democracy. It is only fitting that United States and Asia, and specifically the United States and Thailand, as Washington's oldest treaty ally, be partners in this noble process. We will continue to look towards the true friendship of the United States as we work to promote open markets and eliminate trade barriers in the region. Thailand also hopes to move forward on a bilateral free trade agreement with the United States after our election later this year. America's long history of international educational and cultural exchanges has been an instrumental component of our region's democratic development and economic prosperity. Many of my cabinet members and I, in addition to leading thinkers and business leaders in Thai society, have been educated and trained in the United States. We have been exposed to your system of government, your values, your ideals, and your free market entrepreneurship. It is essential that such opportunities continue to be extended to future generations of Asian leaders. As I have tried to say today, all of this contributes to the strengthening of democracy in Asia. Ladies and gentlemen, I wish to reiterate that economic development and providing opportunities are important buttresses for the democratic system. We have discovered that the political process in Asia without wealth creation will encounter problems. For democracy in itself does not buttress wealth creation. Only with wealth and opportunities for all can we negotiate choice of our democratic regime. I want to stress that I look forward to working with many of you here today as we continue our mutual efforts to advance democracy, economic prosperity, and stability throughout Asia. Together, I know that we can make a better future for the generations to come. Thank you.
Let me remind you that today's meeting is on the record. When we start the question and answer in a moment, please stand and identify yourself before asking your question. And please keep it short, no speeches, just a question so we can have other people participate. Let me take since I'm chairing this, have the first question. The sale of your company, Prime Minister, to Singapore was very controversial. Would you like to comment on it?
Yes. Yes. The company has been transferred to my children before I become the Prime Minister. under the old constitution, under the old law. And one day, they want to sell because they've been approached. And I think it's a good idea. So I don't have to be alleged of conflict of interest anymore. So they agree to sell. And after the sale, I've been attacked of not paying tax, which is actually, the capital gain in Thailand stock exchange. We have no tax involved, which Mr. Greenberg know very well because he sells so many stock there. It's tax exempt, no tax. And someone trying to say that, if you sell noodles, you have to pay tax, but we sell the companies. Why you don't say tax? Pay tax. Sell noodles, you sell goods. Goods is subject to be taxed, but not the capital gains of selling shares. So that is confusing the message. And at that time, I've been attacked by all the press, and the confusion is there. And I trying to open the parliament for debate, but the opposition said that no useful. We not participate in that debate because we have to find the no confidence motion, which we cannot do. They cannot do it because they don't have enough votes to do it. So, but I said that I'm generous enough to open the general debate for them to ask me. I can answer, but they don't agree. So I have to dissolve the house and let the people make decision on their own whether they want me to come back or not. So that's why the controversy come. Actually, it's really all the money is in Thailand. We bring the sale bring the US dollars to Thailand at that time about $2 billion US dollars, and baht stronger at that time because of the money flow in. And actually that money is going to help build the business, the economy in Thailand because we have new money, fresh money into Thailand for $2 billion US dollars. But it's very difficult to explain at that time, and I'm in an awkward position to explain because my children is the one who own the company, so they are still very young. But anyway, I think this is paved the way that we don't have to be a range of conflict interest anymore because we have no business involved.
Thank you for responding to that. Would you stand up and identify yourself?
How important is tourism
Would you
in
identify
Thailand's
yourself?
economy, and do you expect the recent insurgency in the south to have any effect on that?
Yes, tourism industry is one of a very important income generation for Thai economy. And now we have 12 million foreign tourists to Thailand. We're opening up our new airport on the 28th of this month. We can accommodate more flights to Thailand, and we expect that we will have more tourists into Thailand. But the situation in the south, and especially the recent bombing in Hat Yai, that is a tragic. That we very sad about that, and it's really now is a combination between the separatists on the three southmost province of Thailand. Actually, let me come back to this one. The three southmost province of Thailand is used to belong to Malaysia. And also some provinces that used to belong to Thai is in the Malaysia side. After British colony, they draw the new map for us. And they gave some of Malaysian side to us, and they take some of Thai side to Malaysian. But on the Thai side that being with Malaysia, they have no problems. They are quiet, they work, they live their life happily. But in the Thai side, which is only that part, a majority are Muslim. Muslims are all over in Thailand, but it's not majority. They live peacefully with others' religion. But of that part, they try to compare with Malaysian side because that part is really underdeveloped. Because of they went to religion school, they don't want to go to normal school. How come they get job? That's the problem of that province. But it's been neglected for many years. So I think, after reading from Juan Enrique's new books, Anti-States of America, if you have to read, it's talking about when the people of the same religion or culture flock together. If they expect something, if we promise something and we deliver less, it has the legitimacy gap there. If that happens, that's going to be very dangerous. So I think it's true that we have to more develop in that part to embrace them together with the democratic process. So this is what we are trying to do, both in law and order and also politics, to be sure that they can be embraced into the society.
You had a question? You had a microphone.
Ralph Bulshans, New York University. Prime Minister Thaksin, the Thai elections are about a month away. Yet you have not made any specific declaration as to whether you're going to run for Prime Minister or not. This is creating some confusion, and people would like, I think in Thailand and here, to know why you're delaying this decision and when you will make it.
Because I'm confusing myself. This is what, well, I'm thinking about it because, sometimes I want to sacrifice because I'm here as a Prime Minister, and the opposition know that they have no way to win over me because the popularity is still very strong, and the polling showing that we are still very strong. And, those who may not happy with my government because of let's say, some business leaders who are not successfully in debt restructuring, got mad on me. Those who do drug dealers, those who are the illegal lottery operators are not happy with me. They flock together, including some media tycoons who has the media just for own interest, not for the sake of the media's ideology. So they get together and they fight. They're trying to bring me down, which I think, if I were to step down amidst the process of election, it means that I sacrifice the democracy for those protesters who lost their own interest. And so I think that if I'm definitely I'll go on the election, but I will be on the party list. I will be the chairman of the party, but I'm not sure whether I should accept the prime ministership or not. I'm still thinking and confusing now. So I will have to definitely announce before, probably on the registration day, the election registration day. Thank you.
Yes.
Herbert Levin, Prime Minister, thank you for being here today. Could you share with us your understanding of what the situation is in Burma?
Good question. It's very difficult to answer as the immediate neighbor of Myanmar. And Thailand, we are in between. We're trying to not being nut to be kak, because we understand the poor, we understand the rich, we understand the under democracy countries and those very well developed democracy. In the situation in Myanmar, I think I'm not happy on what is happening now. I keep going and talk to them. Even recently, I went there. I'm the first leader that went to new capital, and I talked to them frankly that I doesn't want you to isolate from international, and I don't want international to isolate yourself. So I think you better keep international informed of your democratic development. Otherwise, it just the imagination is spread that what happened with Aung San Suu Kyi, what happened with the government, what happened with the people, how about HIV/AIDS? The human rights we worry about what happening here. I talked to them frankly, And then, they I don't know, they hear what I said, but I don't know what they will listen or not. But anyway, I try my best, and I trying to convey the message of international to them and convince them. And I even offer Thailand to be a place that we open once a Bangkok process for them to explain to international. Once the Minister of Foreign Affairs explained already, he been jailed already. So I don't know what's next going to happen. But I really offer Thailand as a venue for them to explain to international that how progress you are and what is your destination. And they have an excuse that they have too many minorities. The country solidarity is important. So they want to hold the country together, not to be fragmented into small countries. So that's the problem, because they have some armed minority as well. So we're trying to convince the armed minorities to negotiate with the government. So that's what we have done.
Yes. Whoa.
Lady first.
Yes.
Sorry. I'm a journalist as well, and perhaps I'll ask a question that you are also wondering. My name is Sherry Praso, and I've been writing about Thailand for quite a long time. I wonder, given all of the very good things you have done in Thailand in terms of increasing wealth in the provinces, going back and looking at the sale of your deal, even though taxes were not owed, do you somehow wish that your legacy were not tainted by this, by perhaps having paid taxes anyway or made a charitable contribution?
Oh yeah, the family have a foundation, which we start to donate part already, and we will do a lot of activities related to poverty eradication and education and science and technology to help the people to reflect their life. So that is what we are doing, and we will donate more and more for this purpose, and not just donate in our own countries, but in other countries as if it really benefit the people in general. So we will do a lot of donation on that. And I'm thinking about if I were to retire, that's part of my life that I will do, donation, contribution, helping people.
Prime Minister, can I ask you a question on the Thai-China relations? How do you see them, and how do you see them developing in the future?
Thai-China relation, we are like relatives. The history of migration of the Thai, part of the ancestor Thai is migrate from China. Even myself, on my father's side, I'm the 4th generation that migrate from China. On my mother's side, I'm the 3rd generation. I even went to China to pay respect to the tomb of my ancestor there in China. So we are very close, and so far the relationship between Thai and China are very cordial and very high. And China is growing. China, someone look at China as a threat, but I think where there is threat, there will be opportunities. Where there is no opportunity, is threat as well. So you cannot think only one-sided. So it will be threat and opportunity. Why don't you turn the threat into opportunities? China is become our big market. Our trade volume with China increased tremendously. So I think I would recommend that U.S. also should try to penetrate the market of in China, but don't compete in the same products.
Yeah.
สวัสดีค่ะ Elizabeth Toder American Jewish World Service เคยเป็นอาสาสมัครหน่วยสันติภาพสหรัฐอเมริกาที่เนินมะปรางเมื่อ14 ปีที่แล้ว
พิษณุโลก
You want to share that with us?
I was a Peace Corps volunteer in Thailand, in northern Thailand, from 1991 to 94. My question relates to the 30 baht healthcare plan that you talked about, which is incredible for people. And it also promotes providing universal access of AIDS treatment for people living with HIV/AIDS. Yet the free trade agreement that you're pursuing with the U.S. will basically undermine critical therapies needed for first and second line therapies for HIV-positive people. So I wonder if you can please comment on that inconsistency.
Sometimes the negotiation point has been reviewed before the agreement reached. So negotiation point may be the A on the side and B on another side. But we never agree on A or B. If we were to agree on A or B, either one side must be stupid. So it must be somewhere that it's C, you find a C, a good location for C, a good point, a good position for C. So we are very worried about that. We have to be taking good care of that. We should not allow that to happen. So it's on the negotiation caution that we will have to be careful on that one. So.
Allison, after this.
Stanley Roth, the Boeing Company. I think the greatest concern for American friends of Thailand, I think everyone in this room is in that category, is the need for a return to political stability so that Thailand can get on with its business, and you've discussed a lot of that business.
Yes.
But the question is there any reason for us to believe that the next election process will be any more acceptable to the same forces that disrupted the first election process? We all accept the polls that you've said. The outcome seems likely to be as you described. You may not be the candidate for PM. What's different about this next go-round? Can you assure us that political stability will come back?
The last election on April the 2nd, it should not happen that way. Because, the opposition parties, they have no democratic legitimacy to boycott the election. As a political party, you have to go to election every time we have election. But they know real well that they're going to lose for election, and then they boycott it. But anyway, the Thai ways of getting out of that by having the new election again, by using the Constitutional Court verdict to consider that, okay, the past election may not be democratic enough. So we have to apologize that we pronounce democracy wrongly. Instead of we pronounce democracy, we pronounce democracy. So it's a bit of crazy in that. So, but anyway, the opposition already tell the public already that they will participate in next election. If next election is held by every parties participate, there shouldn't be any problems. And the election will be by the end of November. And the new government will be coming to work on the beginning of New Year, right after New Year. So I think from there, within 3 months, things will be back to normal. So it's time to invest now.
Allison.
Graham Allison from the Belfer Center at Harvard. Mr. Prime Minister, I'd be very interested in your assessment of the Asian front in the war on terrorism. If you look inside Thailand, or if you look at Malaysia or Indonesia, the region as you know it, what's getting better and what's getting worse, and what lessons?
Well, we have to take good care of our house first, keep our house clean. And that's the problem in the southern part, most province that we have to. I think most of the root cause of the problem on the terrorism in Asia come from the education and economic science. If they have less education, they cannot participate in normal economic activities under capitalism economy. So they turn fundamentalists because they keep they've been gone through religious school, and those they stick with all the religions, and if they have no hopes or no opportunity to engage in normal economic activities, they turn fundamentalist. That's the problems on what we think we should tackle that through better education and better opportunities for them to create their income. I think that's what I said on my speech, that wealth creation is one of the problems of democracy or even and development in other areas. But terrorism in Asia are different, are different. But sometimes what happened in Indonesia, I think now Philippines are better. Malaysia has no problems that much, and Indonesia still have some problem, but it's better and better because this government, Susilo Bambang, he is very decisive man, and he has a very good dialogue and flexible. I think we should not bleed any more terrorists to international. We're not going to bleed anymore. But anyway, we're trying to protect, solve our own problems. But I don't know much about what happened in Africa. That's what I worry. What happened in Afghanistan? Sorry, Afghanistan is a worry, and also Iran.
Back there.
Lady first again.
Lindsay Howard, the Dylan Schneider Group. Mr. Prime Minister, wealth creation is, as you know, not always a path to democracy. Thailand has a unique history in that the royal family has played an unusually positive role in the evolution of political systems and social benefits. And traditionally, they have also provided a check and balance on a very ambitious class of generals, many of whom would stretch the limits of trends towards authoritarianism if given the chance, many of whom have become rich businessmen. If, in your vision of a Thai democracy, who provides the check and balances on the military and security class?
Well, I think now the Thai democracies are very transparent, and the constitution that we are using now provide a lot of check and balance in the system itself, because we have so many independent bodies to do the check and balance. But for the military itself, they have their own system of select people. They have their own system. They have the what we call the Defense Council to overlook on how they pick up the general and those things. And now the role of military in Thailand are more on civilians than more of the politics. They help in developing the countries in terms of, let's say, like disasters, and also the development in the rural area. And they do some security part, but not so much as before. And the role of military is reducing in terms of involving in politics. So we don't need a check and balance system on that part anymore, because the system this is 21st century. It's not, sometimes the question, the memory is still about the 20th century. This is 21st. I think things is changing a lot. Thank you.
Yes, back there.
Thank you. Mr. Prime Minister, I'm Pranay Gupta, member of the Council. Several central banks in Southeast Asia are sitting on trillions in trade surpluses. As you know, traditionally, some of those surpluses have been used to, I guess, underwrite the American trade deficit. In effect, is this not a way of your region holding America hostage? And how would you advise the American Treasury to deal with its deficit problems? Thank you.
Well, good questions. Difficult to answer. Well, now if you notice that in the past 3 years, all the Asian countries' foreign reserve is increasing quickly. And we now, instead of investing in only in US dollars, now we invest in both euro dollars, Japanese yens. And besides that, we're trying to create a bond market, Asian bond market. So we can use the wealth in Asia to provide opportunity to create wealth in Asia as well. And that's what we are now developing the Asian bond market for. And For U.S., I don't know. I'm small countries. I dare not to advise U.S. I'm very small country. I think the U.S. has a role for many roles related to international, and U.S. is generous to provide assistance to many countries. But luckily that Thailand, under my leadership, we just asked to be equal partners. So I don't know. I just trying to say that Asia, we develop Asian bond market for U.S. to invest or for us to invest as well. So we invite U.S. to invest in our Asian bond, so we can use that capital to create wealth in some areas that still have a lot of poverty, that need fresh cash to develop. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Prime Minister Thaksin,
you identify yourself, please.
Sorry?
Would you identify?
Oh, sure. My name is Jonathan. I'm from the Open Society Institute. Prime Minister Thaksin, you once said that democracy is not an end in itself, but a means. I was wondering if you could clarify that statement, particularly in regards to Thai elections. Are they an end or a means? And then a question about Burma. Last week, the United Nations Security Council concluded by a vote by 10-4 that Burma was a threat to peace and security. Your support for the junta is well known, and in light of this new development, will Thailand end its support for these thugs who have absolutely no intention of bringing democracy to Burma, despite your many promises to the contrary? Or rather, is Burma's natural gas more important to you than sanctioning genocide, rape, and the detention of a Nobel Prize winner?
Sometimes you understand democracy, but don't sub-optimize on that democracy only. So you have to think about the people. Democracy for what? For the people. If your democratic system is not really provide happy or well-being to your people, it's no use. So if we have the people at the center, we do everything for the people. If your democratic system can provide happiness to your people, it's fine. And I keep telling that sanction, in some countries is work, some is not really work, because the people themselves get suffer. The ruling power just hang in there, and they just don't care, and they want to hang in the power regardless. But the people get poorer and poorer. People have no opportunities. I just came back from Cuba. I saw the trace of wealth in the past. But it's really unfortunate that Cuba and America doesn't have a good relation. Otherwise, you will have a lot of tourists from U.S. to visit Havana, beautiful cities, and they can have more money to create wealth, create jobs. You don't have to have a lot of Cuban here in U.S. So that is what I think, democracy is part of it for the people. Democracy is for the people. You have to consult with Montesquieu. What does democracy mean? Democracy is the power that the people give you. If you look at social contract by Rousseau, you know that we agree that those who are staying together will elect someone to work for them, on behalf of them, and work for them to stay together peacefully, and they have the opportunity to better life. So that is what I think the Myanmar situation. I keep telling friends from Japan, from Europe, from America that if you want to do something in Myanmar, deal with the ruling power. If you sanction it, the people with HIV/AIDS, they're going to get suffer. No one help them. If you said that, okay, you will help them in humanitarian, how can you get there? They don't give you visa. So, but I think better talk. Dialogue is important. Better, human. We are human. Whether you like me or not, whether who like you or not, if we talk, we start to understand each other. And when we understand each other, we find a way to get out of the conflict, get out of what we don't like. I think, dialogue is something that I really want to see. But if it were to be sanctioned, you have to have a measure to help the people of that poor country, how they can have a good education, how they can have a good health care, how they can live their life with, that's if you sanction the government, fine. Sanction the ruling power, I supporting. But don't sanction the whole countries because the poor are getting poorer and weaker.
Yes.
Prime Minister, I'm a reporter from World Journal, a Chinese language newspaper here. You mentioned about the Asian democracy, but the Asian democratic elect leader in most of the new democracy, their leaders are very unpopular. Like in Korea, President No is under 20%. In Taiwan, it's 20%. In the Philippines, it's under 20%. And the dictatorship in Asia, from Hu Jintao on to Vietnam, they all very popular. And you're not very popular too. And what do you think the Asian democracy value? Why do they respect their democratically elected leaders? The only democratic elected leader is from Singapore. Singapore is not democracy according to most.
Would you ask your question, please?
Yeah. So that's the reason. Why do you think the democratic elected leaders are not popular in Asia?
Well, finally it's come. Country is an organization. You have to have a right management. If you have a proper management team, the organization are successful. Like countries, the management style may be different. It may be suit in one organization, may not suit in another organization. And some certain stage, you need some level of democracy. So, in China, very successful. In Vietnam, very successful. Even though they are not really a Western style of democracy. So, really, do you have a blueprint for democracy? That blueprint is supposed to be one size fits all for every country? It's not. Actually, democracy or any political system is the way to get the management team to run that country for the better life of the people, of their own people. But democracy is good because it allows the dialogue. It allow the people to voice their exercise their right, voice their opinion or whatever. So you can hear more. Like in business, you are now customer center. You have to understand the customer. You hear the customer, you can sell. If you don't hear what the customer wants, you cannot sell. So exactly, democracy is really you hear more from the people. So when you hear more, you know how to solve the problem better, and then you can serve them better. But if you promise and you don't deliver, then your popularity is down. So it's exactly, but like Singapore, even they are elected leader, democratic election leaders, but they promise and they can deliver what they promise. So that's why they hang in the power so long. So I think it's actually democracy is the people. It's about the people. If we do things for the people, for their well-being, then you stay in power.
Time for one more question.
Thank you.
Mr. Prime Minister, thank you for your remarks. My name is Roland Paul. I'm a lawyer. If my reading is correct, Thailand has made great success in its program to prevent HIV, and I would wonder, if I'm correct in that, what are the one or two major reasons that for such success or in the program, and also what progress are you making against child prostitution?
For the HIV/AIDS, we do a lot of prevention as well as the treatment. The prevention we give we provide education to the young generation, and also I think Kun Mi Chai is one of the very good promoter on that one to prevent the HIV/AIDS through the condom, the use of the condom. And also we have a very good working relation with WHO and many NGOs in that sense. And also now after my government come in, we use the policies of access to all. We provide all the access to those HIV/AIDS, and we produce the retroviral drug that can give it to those who has the CD4 in blood lower than 400, and they can live their life almost like a normal people. And we done that treatments to many, several probably 100,000 of them per year. That's a lot of money, but we think we can afford it to do so. And for the child prostitution, it's now in Thailand, we have less and less on this one, I think, but maybe they may have the pregnancy before a certain age, because sometimes they just between friends, and but we're trying to give more education on sex, on the pregnancy protection, and also the prostitution in Thailand is much less now, much less. I think the economic development is very important, providing them and their parents with a better income, so they can send the students to school, and we provide the loans, the education loan, and provide the education loans and free scholarship to the children, especially from the poor family. So that will help.
Please join me in thanking the Prime Minister.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.